Welcome to COS Indiana Live. There's never been a more important time in our history than now if you believe it's time to stand up and be free. Stay tuned and come back every Monday at 7 p.m. as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, present the need for self-governance. Our COS Indiana vision statement is to build a grassroots community of Hoosier citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. So, take it away, Dale.
Well, welcome everyone to COS Indiana Live. Thank you, Maringo Mike, for that introduction. We have once again a great broadcast planned for you this evening. As you know, I say that before every broadcast, but we do have a great broadcast for you this evening. And as Maringo Mike said in the introduction, my name is Dale Parrish. I am the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana. So welcome to the broadcast, everyone. I also want to mention now that we are live streaming our broadcast on our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. So for those of you that want an alternative way to view our broadcast, this is it. We broadcast through our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana, and now we are live streaming through our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. So that is an alternative method for you to view tonight's broadcast. I want to go through the segments that we'll be introducing you to in our broadcast this evening. Our first segment will be what we call the discussion topic, or topic of discussion segment. And sometimes we'll have in this segment a panel, perhaps a panel discussion on a particular topic. But most of the time, I like to bring on leadership individuals from our Convention of States organization here in Indiana. Sometimes maybe a leadership individual from our national group, but most of the time it'll be from our Indiana group here. And tonight is one of those evenings where we have one of our newest district captains to introduce to you this evening, Mark Goatee. And Mark will be coming on here very, very shortly. So you get a chance to meet Mark and understand and learn what he is going to be doing as a district captain, and where and what district he is in charge of. So that'll be in our first segment. The second segment is what I call the information segment. Now in this segment, I will bring up a PowerPoint presentation, go through some resources that we have available to us here in Indiana, and get into a few numbers as to how we're performing here in Indiana. And I want to tell you right now that our performance is outstanding. We are doing very well here in Indiana, so I'm really pleased to give these numbers to you. So that will be in our information segment. The third segment is what I call viewer recognition. In this segment, I will do my best to recognize those viewers this evening that have chosen to submit a question or a comment, which you can do in the chat section. So if you have submitted a question or comment, like I said, I'll do my best to bring it up on the screen here and address that for you this evening. So that'll be the viewer recognition segment. The final segment is what I call the invitation. Now, in this segment, I'm going to kind of wrap things up this evening. Our broadcast, we tried to keep it at no more than 30 minutes, thereabouts. So I'll try to wrap things up, and I will let you know what we have planned for our next broadcast, which will be on the 19th, next Monday evening. So that will be, then after I tell you about our next broadcast, then I'm going to invite you. That's why I call this the invitation segment. I'm going to invite you to join Convention of States here in Indiana. So that's the whole purpose of this broadcast, is to introduce you to Convention of States throughout the state those of you that are not part of our organization as yet, and hopefully we will entice you to join our movement. So that will be the invitation segment. Well, it's now time to bring on our guest for our first segment. And let me unmute him and bring him up into the screen here so that you can see him. There he is.
How you doing, Dale?
And hi, Mark. Good to see you, buddy. Let me turn the volume down a little bit here. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Mark. It's goatee, right?
Yes, it is. Goatee.
Just like you have on your chin there.
Yep.
It's a
Easy way to remember the name.
easy way to remember your name. There you
Yeah.
go. As I said, Mark is one of our newest district captains, and I think Mark is going to be an outstanding district captain for us. He's already really getting with the program. Now, Mark, you're district captain for House District 50.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit where the geography that district covers.
Well, we're kind of bordered up against Fort Wayne, cover Roanoke, Huntington. Huntington is probably the biggest part of it, and it goes all the way down to Warren. So it's a pretty big area. It's pretty nice.
Pretty nice. Okay. All right. Excellent. For those of you that are not part of our organization, we're organized around House districts, and there are 100 of those throughout the state of Indiana. So our goal is to have a district captain like Mark in each of those House districts across the state. So Mark is now the district captain for House District 50. So, all right. Well, Mark, I warned you about this ahead of time. So I'll let you, every guest that I bring on, that's a member of the leadership group in Convention of States here in Indiana or nationally. I always ask that individual to tell us about their Convention of States story, their COS story, the how, when, where they got involved in Convention of States. So it's your turn, my man.
All righty.
Tell us your story, Mark.
Well, I guess the how would be I had a friend that was that got me interested in this. She sent me a little clip of Mark Meckler talking about the Convention of States, and some of the things that he talked about really got me intrigued as to getting involved in it. So it was about a couple months ago that this had happened, and one of the things that he talked about was accountability of the government, financial accountability, which really struck a chord with me. When I was deployed in Afghanistan, we our company got furloughed for pay, so our pay got kind of set aside for about a month, and this is for soldiers that were actually deployed in combat. So one of the things that we talked about was, man, how could this ever happen? Congress couldn't pass the budget, so it affected us. So that was one thing I wish they would have had it back then. But one of the things we talked about is how can we, correct that? What's the measures? What steps can we take? And at that point, there was really none that we were aware of. And Mark Meckler hit it right on the nose when he started talking about Article 5 in the Constitution. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm on board with this. I'm all in. So, and I got involved. And I thought it would be a great way to, help out the community, becoming a district captain. So I'm used to serving my community and my country. So this is what I continue to do. So
now, Mark mentioned made reference to his military background. Mark is you're retired military, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. How long did you serve, Mark?
I served for 23 years.
23 years.
I was a combat medic and also did some work in ordnance as well. Deployed to a lot of different locations: Iraq, Afghanistan, over in the Middle East. some places down in South America as well.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Really?
But yeah, it was a great experience. And I grew up in the military and ended up serving. So
You say you grew up in the military. Were
Yep.
your dad or your parents involved in the military?
Yeah, my dad, he served for 20 years. And then he came back to Indiana, where he's originally from. And then I went on a 2-year church mission. And then after that, I went into the military.
Okay. And you served 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you were only 5 years old when you went in, right?
Yeah. I was only 5.
You can't be very old. You must have. Were you shortly out of high school or something when you went in, or
2 years.
2 years?
2 years after high school, I went in. Yeah.
Well, you're still a young man. Still a young man. So
Yeah. Don't feel like it some days, but yeah.
yeah, I know. I'll tell you about it sometime, how I feel someday. Well, oath and how important that was to you. You want to talk about that a bit as to how?
You know, on the military oath that we take, you know, on defending the Constitution against foreign tyranny and even domestic. And I look at that and as a continued opportunity with the COS, as a lot of veterans do. You know, when they retire, they want to stay engaged and involved, and this was a great opportunity for me to do that. So, and that's one of the things, is upholding the Constitution of the United States. I think that's any veteran that you talk to there, I think that's kind of born into them, and even after they retire or after they get out of the military service, that's something that they're going to always do, because it was important to them in the first place, you know, raising the right hand and volunteering to serve the country.
Yes, and I took the same oath many years ago, and that oath still is very important to me, and I know other veterans as well. Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but let's again, the abuses that Convention of States has identified, that we want to hold a Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to address these abuses. You saw actually some of these abuses, right?
Actually, all 3 of them. That, you know, the Convention of States, they talk about physical responsibility, not being able to pass a budget. That's one of them, one of the main ones, and it affects so many people, and it shouldn't affect people that are deployed, serving their country and protecting others. That was the first one. Second one is the overreach, and the third would probably be on the term, the term limits. You know, the reason all this is happening is people are they've been in office way too long.
Career politicians.
Career politicians, you know, they're there for themselves, not for their constituents. So, and that's evident in all the problems that we have right now. So, you know, you see that across the board.
Well, and I understand that you're you see those abuses happening, and you want to try and do something locally about that. So tell me about your desire to get into the Huntington City Council.
Yeah, I think it's important, as along with military oath too. If you're gonna defend the Constitution, you need to start at the lowest level all the way down. So starting with your own city that you live in, or the own area that you live in, and being able to serve the community to make sure that, you know, our rights aren't infringed on, that we have good policies in place, that the people do truly have their freedoms and liberties, is one of the things that interested me about getting a city council.
Okay. Well,
and also being able to self-governance is a big thing as well.
Yes.
That we talk about in Convention of States, being able to self-governance, and if you have too much overreach, you're not able to do that. So those are one of the things that, you know, really made me want to go into continuing serving my community and my country.
Well, that's very, very important, and that's a good way to wrap this up. Of course, being a district captain, being part of Convention of States is also self-governance, but in addition to that, your desire to get involved in your local government, that's another important part of what we stress as self-governance. That's a constitutional right that we have, is to be self-governance, is to be self-governed and be involved.
Yep.
So, Mark, I want to thank you very much for your time this evening.
All righty. Well, thank you for having me, Dale.
Best of luck as a district captain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Uh-huh.
Mark Goatee. Mark, like I said, Mark, I don't know if you can hear that thunder in the background. We're experiencing some inclement weather currently, so I hope it doesn't affect our broadcast this evening. But as I said, Mark is going to be a great district captain for us, I'm sure. So very, very pleased to have Mark on this evening. Let's get ready now to get into the second segment, which is the informational segment. Now, in order for you to get a good viewing, there we go. That happened very quickly, didn't it? I implement the slideshow option in my PowerPoint application here so that you can get a full screen view of each of my slides. As Maringo Mike said, our vision statement here in Indiana, and this is going to change here in the next few months as we approach 2021. We have made some changes in things, and I'll be introducing those changes to you as time goes on between now and the end of the year. But currently, our vision statement here in Indiana is to build a Hoosier grassroots community of citizens and legislators, now that's state legislators, dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. We talked about that with Mark as being a constitutional concept, self-governance. Now, our mission objectives here in Indiana, we had two main objectives for 2020: to meet with all of our state legislators, especially the ones we consider and call targeted legislators. These are the new legislators that came on board as a result of the 2018 election. So we want to meet with these legislators to make sure that they understand what Convention of States is all about, and hopefully determine if they are supporters of Convention of States. Our second objective was to grow the grassroots to 52,000. Now I'm going to give you some numbers here very shortly on how we're doing, and I'll just tell you right now, we're doing very, very well here in the state. So that was the second mission objective, to grow the grassroots to 52,000 supporters. Now, some of the resources that we have available to us here in Indiana, our national website, conventionofstates.com. Now, you're going to hear us make reference to this website a number of times, but it is our main website. Much comes from this website, conventionofstates.com. Now, embedded in that national website is our state website page, conventionofstates.com/Indiana. Social media platforms, Facebook being the main platform. This broadcast is coming to you through our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana. Also, our YouTube channel, I mentioned that earlier, COS Indiana, where we are now live streaming the broadcast. But the YouTube channel is also an educational resource for everyone. We have narrated PowerPoint presentations, we have recordings of our broadcasts, and we have links to a podcast that our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips, does, a podcast called the Free to Be Free podcast. Excellent, excellent podcast. Whenever Paul generates a new podcast, we put a link on the YouTube channel so that you can easily access his podcast. Other platforms, Twitter, #COS Indiana, Instagram, Convention of States Indiana, LinkedIn, and a number of other platforms. So if you're into social media, you should not have any problem finding us, Convention of States Indiana. Just a few numbers, quick numbers. 2019, we surpassed 41,000 supporters here in the state of Indiana. And we have been growing at a tremendous rate. Very, very pleased with our rate of growth here in Indiana. So we set our goal in 2020 to reach 52,000 supporters. And I'm about to announce at our October state video conference call, we're going to surpass the 52,000 number already. So we're going to end up 2020 over our goal of 52,000. So we've already set a very ambitious goal for 2021, and I'll be providing that to you as time goes on between now and the end of the year. Out of all these supporters, we have about 80 of us in leadership role here in the state. These leadership positions, some require very little time, others require much more time, but about 80 individuals in total in leadership roles. Now, if you want to get involved in Convention of States, to take the first step of just becoming a supporter, go to our national website, conventionofstates.com, and open an account, sign the petition, and that will make you a supporter. Now, if you have an interest in perhaps a leadership role, then click on the menu selection, Take Action, scroll down to where it says Become a Leader, and look at the different volunteer roles that we have. If one's of interest, open it up, read about it. If you're very interested, go ahead and make application. That you're not obligated in any way, but what that does then is your name will then come up on a report that I see, as well as a few others every day, and one of us will be in contact with you to talk to you further about that position. So we encourage you to at least become a supporter and get involved if you would like to devote some time to Convention of States. Convention of States basics. Now, we won't go into detail on these. Mark was kind of alluding to these in his segment, as in our interview segment with Mark. But there are three tenets that the Convention of States program is based upon: the problem, the solution, and the plan. Now, within the problem, we've identified three abuses that we feel are being done by our federal government: the national debt, the jurisdiction and control of the federal government, and career politicians, as Mark said. So term limits. Now, our solution is to hold a Convention of States according to Article 5 of the Constitution to propose amendments to the Constitution that would address those abuses that we've identified in the problem area. Again, to propose amendments that would address the abuses. Then the final tenet is our plan as to how we're going to bring this about. So won't go into any more detail. Again, I refer you to our national website, conventionofstates.com. Click on the menu selection, Resources, and there you'll find a wealth of information that will address these Convention of States basics. All right, let's get back to our main screen here, and let's see, where did I go here? Boy, I tell you, everything seems to be blank here. And okay, let me see. There I am. I had a little scare here. I tell you, with the weather the way it is, this has happened to me before when we've had inclement weather. It seems that I don't know if it's the internet connection or what it is, but inclement weather can affect our transmission. But looks like I'm back on track here. So you can see me now. So, okay, good. Now, in this segment, it would be the segment where we would recognize viewers. And I don't see where any of our viewers this evening have registered a comment or a question, so don't have anything to show you for this segment. So let's move on to the invitation segment. And in this segment, we're going to kind of wrap things up for you this evening. Now, next Monday evening on the 19th, we have our super volunteer, Debbie Stewart, coming on to provide us another chapter in constitutional literacy. Debbie, we always enjoy having Debbie on to give us chapters on constitutional literacy. So we've gotten great feedback on her particular segments, her particular chapters. So that'll be what we'll do next Monday evening at 7 p.m. Debbie Stewart will be on. Now, I like to wrap things up and give you a quote, one of my favorite quotes from our president, Mark Meckler. And his quote is, you know, there's a fundamental question facing our country today. And that question is not what should we do? The question is who decides? So the question facing us is a two-word question, very simply, who decides? Well, in Convention of States, we believe we the people should be making these decisions. We the people should have a greater say-so in these decisions. And folks, with what's happening in our country today and the havoc going on in our country, believe me, we all believe that if more of these decisions were being made and involving we the people more and more, that's the self-governance thing that we stress so much as a constitutional right, our self-governance. We believe that if more of these decisions were made by we the people, or were we the people had a greater say-so in these decisions, not only the federal level, but the state level, county, community level, we believe that perhaps a lot of these problems that we're facing today could be avoided. So once again, we the people, very, very important. And that's who we believe should be more and more involved in who decides. So it's we the people, self-governance. So with that, folks, we'll wrap it up for another session, another evening of Convention of States, Indiana, and look forward to seeing you again next Monday evening, 7 p.m., Convention of States, Indiana. Have a good evening, everyone. Good night.